Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to show some things I got over the past couple of days. It's a mini haul from small shops that I usually go to, and I wanted to talk about the construction of the Maya cardigan. There are videos out on this cardigan. There are some that go step by step in different videos on how to do the Maya cardigan, but I figured that I would tell you some things in this video on how I modified it and some things to point out when I show it. I might show a deck at the end of the video because it kind of ties in with some of the themes that are in this video. I have this jacket, and it's an older purchase, but it's a jacket that I got off of Etsy. It's an Etsy shop from Austria. When I saw this, I thought it was so cool because it has this part here, and you wrap it like this, and then you could close up your jacket. So it's a nice, unique type of garment, and I thought it was such a nice color. Those are my cats playing with something. But I love wearing green, so I picked this. I had an early day at work, so I decided that I wanted to take a drive to see two small shops that I like to go to. One is Magpie Fibers, and the other one is across the street, and it's a little Irish too. So I have talked about these shops before, and I don't go there often. It's not the closest area to me, but the hours are around the same hours that I work, so I don't usually go there unless it's the weekend. But I don't usually go on the weekend because it's a busy area, so sometimes I would pop in here and there, but it's nice that they know me at the shops and they greet me, and then at the Irish shop they were happy to see me again. So we had some chit chat, and she's saying that I always go there when it's raining. Because one time I did pick up a jacket there that was on sale, and this time around I didn't get much, but I wanted to go out for a little bit, so I actually got a drying towel, and I was asking about this. It is specific because I do like getting things from my kitchen. Poly Dry by Samuel Lamont and Sons. So this is the towel, and I thought it would be nice in my kitchen because she said it's nice quality, and then they usually sell out when they go on the road. So the Poly Dry tea towel has built up a reputation over 40 years and is widely acclaimed for its durability. This much sought after tea towel is generally considered to be the best drying cloth there is. So, sorry, I felt it, and then I was like thinking, I think this would be nice because they also had regular tea towels too, and it just mentioned it being a tea towel, but it has a nice material that I feel like would definitely dry things in the kitchen because I don't really have ones that necessarily do that as much as this one. So another thing that I got from the pantry section is the Connemara Kitchen Irish cream flavored tea. I thought this would be interesting to try because some of you may know I have a degree in herbal studies or botanical science and certifications in herbalism. So there's that, but I don't like drinking tea. I usually like juices, and I like them sweet. So I wanted to try this. I do like, if I were to get a tea, it would be more of an Earl Grey or a fog type of tea, like a it's not coming to me. There's also the Paris fog too, and the Earl Grey is a type of fog, unless it's the I want to say London fog, but once time goes on, it'll come to me randomly. But I do like milk bases in my tea, similarly to alcohol. I like the creamier alcoholic drinks. And so, as I said that, and there's some things that contradicted the other, but essentially I feel like this would be something that I could keep around, and that it would be a type of tea that I could go for. And when I tasted it, it was a little lighter than an Earl Grey, so I would drink it. They also had a whiskey one and a mixed berry, and then there's the English breakfast. There were different types of coffee too, and other things in their pantry section. Then magpie fibers. I got a couple of things. So in my mind, this was the main part of the trip, and I wanted to go there because the shop had a type of yarn that I was interested in trying, and it's the Nepenthe lamb's wool, and from their beaches and booches. That may definitely be the wrong pronunciation, and sorry, I'm not sure if it'll show up, but the color is in a dark blue green, and I was happy to see this color because I love the earthy tones, and there's a whole selection. There were some 100-gram hanks, but I wanted to try the 50, and I'm thinking, sorry, my foot's falling asleep. I'm thinking that maybe I could put them into socks. Maybe one that has a contrast, cuff, heel, and toe. Either that, or there's a couple of colorwork patterns that I have in mind. So there's the two that I have in mind are ones from the French knitwear designer Melody of Mandarins, and the other designer is a Finnish knitwear designer, and I will have to look up how to pronounce her name, but I feel like it's Sole, and I know that I'm not going to pronounce her last name correctly, but I love both patterns. Both are color work, and one is a pattern off of the Patreon of Mandarins, and the other one is on Ravelry, and it has the animals, and I love the folk art color work that I see on the Finnish garments. I think that they have like a storytelling and traditional or kind of cultural aspect to them, and the designs and the animal choices too are really telling of the area, and I love the designs because I talk about the other Finnish knitwear designer too that I love knitting her patterns of. But either one, I feel like I'll knit both of them at some point, and I'm gonna go straighten up a little again. I'm trying to cover the TV, but I don't think I will cover it completely, so hopefully it's not too bright. So both of them will have a contrast. If not, the first one would be the contrast cuff, heel, and toe, and maybe a cream. So I also got the Coco Knits Neutral Stitch Stoppers, which I was walking around, and being the person that takes a while to shop, it took me a while to think about it, because with this, it has accommodate needle sizes US 0 to 15 or 2 to 10 millimeter for each of 6 sizes, 24 pieces. And I was thinking it only comes with 4 each, but if I use 4 DPNs like I'm using for my sleeves, I suppose maybe there are other ones that might be close to fitting the other DPNs, unless I use one for each. So I was thinking maybe I would try one and see how I liked it, because I think I would probably want both of them to have a stopper on each side. So I'll think about it, but I'll try them out, because I know I was looking on Etsy to see if there's any DPN stoppers or tops. So I was happy that I saw that in the store. And then I got a project bag. It was inexpensive, so that's why I picked it up. I really look out for the larger project bags, because for my garments I usually do color work, and I like keeping all the colors together, so there's multiple skeins that I have for these projects, and sometimes the ones that are large aren't exactly as large of a project bag as I would want it to be for the color work cardigans especially. So I already put yarn in a project in it, and it's this cotton bag with drawstrings, and then it has handles at the top. So this has my Sleipnir. And I have showed this in another video. I haven't worked on it as much because I would love to work on it more, but I'm finishing off another project that I'm almost finished with, so I'm of course going to get back to this. But I was able to do a couple of rows, and then I have another increase row round coming up to where I won't have another increase row for a while after that. But this is the beginning of the top down Sleipnir, and because it's going over your shoulders, there's a lot of increases right now. And then I added a steek in the middle for me to cut in the end. But I love the project, and I'm going to finish it before the beginning of October, hopefully. Either that or November. So I did get another ball of the Universal Yarn Deluxe DK Tweed Superwash, because I did want to make this a full-length cardigan where I would wear in my apartment and outside too, because I really wanted to make this one nice. And I'll see how I am with 3/4 sleeves, but I'll most likely do full-length sleeves for this one. But this was inexpensive, because usually large project bags, the size that I want, aren't that common. So put this here, and I made 2 Maya cardigans. Before I talk about it, I wanted to show this book. So this is the Eyewitness Travel Guides to Dublin, and there's this little free library in my apartment building. So it's at like the top of the building where the public area is, and it says you could take a book and leave a book. I didn't have any books on me, so I just took the book, but I'll put something back. And I figured that I would look through this because I am interested in traveling. I might do it next year. And I did get a gift from the owner of the pharmacy that I work at, and she went to the pharmacy convention in Massachusetts, and she got us Boston shirts. So, being the person that I am, I'm gonna modify it. But I'm so happy because I used to have some Massachusetts clothing items, and I don't have them right now or anymore. Let me just... I made 2 Maya cardigans. This is my second one, which I'm really happy about. I love doing these colorwork garments because I get to use my scrap yarn. I did 3/4 length sleeves. Don't mind the underarms. I haven't closed those up, but I didn't do the sleeves first, so I knit the body first, and it's a free pattern, so I'll talk about it more in depth. So it's a bottom-up construction, but the pattern wants you to start with the sleeves first, and then once you knit the sleeves to a certain length after doing the colorwork portion of it, then it goes off to the body section of the garment. And so I started off with the garment, or the bottom of the garment first, and you can see, well, probably not, but there's a couple of notes that I put in here. And then I have this notebook, which is just a notebook where I keep notes on specific garments where I modified it, or extra notes if I did something specific with it. So with the regular pattern, you would knit it bottom up and then attach the sleeves and then go to the yoke portion of the garment. But since I didn't do that, I casted on the extra stitches for the sleeves and then did the yoke, and then after I did the yoke I picked up those stitches and then started knitting down for the sleeves, which I was doing more calculations for it because I wanted it to go to a certain length, but I also had to keep in mind the stitch count for the color work that's on the sleeves, and so I needed a certain number of stitches by the time I got to the color work portion of it. So it was more to keep in mind than just well, I still like those garments too, of course, but the garments that don't have anything on the sleeves, and then you can maybe I liked decreasing every 6 round, and it would be a gradual decrease, and then it would end around 46 stitches. So that was an example, but one of the things to keep in mind for this pattern is that for the actual chart, so you're knitting the first stitch, and it says that in the directions, and then it's an 8 stitch repeat from stitches 2 to 9. So in the chart, it's something that you'll have to remember, because at the bottom of these charts, in this one, the first chart, and in the third chart, there's this ruler or place where it says where you're repeating, and it leaves out the first stitch, because if you don't leave out the first stitch, then it won't make the exact pattern that you're looking for. It'll be similar to what it is, but you'll notice that it won't be exactly that shape. And then for the body, or sorry, the yoke, stitches 2 through 17 are repeated, so you're only going to knit one in the beginning and then you don't repeat it. That's it. And let me look at my notebook. Sorry, I just figured that it was some like things to remember when you're knitting it. Sorry, me reading while I'm on the video. So when I did the yoke first before doing the sleeves, there's a number that is, so I did the large size. So the number down here, and it won't be clear, but I highlighted the 281 stitches. That's from the yoke, and that number isn't included in the underarm stitches. So what I had to account for was the additional underarm stitches to make up for the sleeves. And so I went from, just looking at my notes, there was a decrease from 68 to 48 stitches. And it was, for this cardigan, it was pretty drastic for knitting the 15 rounds, and then after that I started decreasing. For rounds 1 through 3, I decreased every round, and then decreased every other round until there were 48 stitches, because I needed to get a number that would be divisible by the H stitch repeat. And so, since it's an 8 stitch repeat, 6 times 8 is 48. And since I started to do the sleeves, I put an arrow here too, because I don't know if this is helpful or this is just like like Asian, like, what did you do? So I just put an arrow here and I just worked the chart backwards, because this is the sleeve one right here, and then I worked the sleeves from there. And I really liked using the main color yarn, which is the Brown Cheapcoat in the Prairie Spun DK in Dancing Leaf, because at first I wasn't sure. I loved the color, but then it had such a dry texture that I wasn't used to, but then it works beautifully with color work because it just binds, even though that's the main color and the stockinette portion of it, or the whole thing is, but the plain portion of it. But just when you look at it at the plain section, the stitches are together, and it just makes a nice finish or nice garment. So I love the color of this garment. It kind of reminds me of like a toad. Then I used the pink. The pink is actually it was another sale yarn, but it was actually a yarn from the Maryland Alpaca Festival. It wasn't the most recent one. There was another one. And there was a yarn that was on sale, and I picked that up, and it's this mauve color here, mauve pink. Then it looks like this is the green here, because I used two types of green, is a Malabrigo color too. And as well as the it's like a beige color for the background. So I feel like that's the most helpful tips from the notes that I made. And for the sleeves, that was like the main modification that I did that affected the other things too. But I also started the round at the back of the inner arm to conceal the decreases of it. So when I wear it, it'll be here, so it's not on the side instead. And I finished this a while ago. I also didn't weave in all my ends, so I didn't for the majority, because occasionally I wear this. I haven't really worn it because, again, I didn't weave most of my ends in, but for the most part, I feel like it's finished. So I still had to add the button bands, and I do love this version more. And what's great about this pattern is that you can use so many color combinations, and one would look different than the other one. So the last thing that I wanted to show is this deck. I've had it for a couple of years, but I don't really talk about it that much. It's probably my cheapest deck, and you find this at Barnes & Noble too, and it was a common one. They still sell it. Sorry. They still sell it at Barnes & Noble, but I don't hear about it that much because I think because it's such a cheap deck that usually I don't see many people talk about it. But I love using it for my money readings, money and career readings. And it's the main one that I've used for years for those types of readings. I know it's sometimes it's spend money to make money, but I also feel like I didn't need to spend money for this, and it makes me feel like I'm saving money. And in my mind, I feel better, and somehow, energetically, it makes it a money career deck. But the Tarot Nova is like a folk style deck, and I knew it was, but I didn't really look that deeply into the artwork until recently when I started to look at this YouTube channel. It's more like cartoons, and it's the Bulgarian folk tales, and there's 8 seasons on the channel, and there's like compilations of the different seasons where it has the shorts of these folk tales. And I love how they tell the stories, and it tells you the about like the different animals, or maybe things that are more common in those areas, whether it's like actions or the types of jobs, or how it was in maybe in a past time, and even the type of artwork and the different things that they would incorporate in these stories. I love I love the folkiness of it, and it has like a, I want to say like it's more simplistic, or and then it has a part of it that's like a fairy tale, as the name suggests, or of the YouTube channel. And so I love watching them, and I've just been watching them a lot lately. I figured that this would kind of tie into that, and it's one of my decks that I keep in my basket of reading decks that I read specifically for client readings, and I like reading it for myself too. You can see the corners are different colors for the suits and major and minor arcana. And hopefully the images are showing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was an interesting video, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.